It's so common it almost becomes invisible, right? But have you ever just stopped and actually wondered what is going on here?
Exactly. I mean, why not just make it an even 20 bucks? What's the big deal with that one measly cent? It seems kind of ridiculous, doesn't it? But trust me, it makes a huge difference. And the reason why? Well, it's all about a really weird quirk in how our brains work.
And when I say it's everywhere, I am not kidding. You look around and you'll see it on, well, everything. This isn't some random accident. Nope, it's a very deliberate, very calculated, and incredibly widespread strategy.
So just how widespread are we talking? Well, get this. A study in the Marketing Bulletin looked at a ton of advertised prices, and what they found was wild. A staggering 60% of them ended in the number 9. 60! Now compare that to prices ending in a 0. That was only about 8%. So yeah, this is definitely not a coincidence.
Okay, so here's the bottom line. Retailers do this for one simple reason. It works. Our brains are basically hardwired to see a price like $19.99 and think it's way lower than 20 bucks, even though, logically, we know it's just 1 cent off. So the real question is, why do our brains do that? So let's get into the nitty-gritty of the psychology here. The whole trick hinges on something called a cognitive bias. Specifically, it's known as the left digit effect, and once you understand this, the whole thing just clicks into place. Here's how it works. When we look at a price, our brain is kind of lazy. It reads from left to right, and the very first number it sees, that leftmost digit, it latches onto that as a mental anchor. It's like that first number sets the entire tone for the price, and everything that comes after it, like the 0.99, just doesn't seem as important.
And this is just a brilliant way to see how powerful that anchor is. So look at this first example, $2.99 versus $4. Your brain immediately sees the 2 and the 4, and it feels like a big difference, right? Almost $2 whole. But now check out the second one, $3 versus $4.99. The actual price difference is basically the same, but because the first digits are 3 and 4, our brain tells us the gap is way smaller, closer to just $1. That is the left digit effect, plain and simple.
Okay, so here's a fun little piece of trivia for you. Even though this is a super powerful marketing tool today, one of the theories is that it didn't even start that way. The story goes it might have been an anti-theft trick. Think about it. If something costs, say, $5 even, a crooked cashier could just pocket the bill. But if it's $4.99, they have to open the cash register to give the customer their penny back. And the second that drawer opens, it creates a record of the sale. Pretty clever, huh?
Now, it's easy to think this is just a little trick for selling t-shirts or a gallon of milk, but you would be wrong. This exact same cognitive bias pops up in some seriously high-stakes places you would never, ever expect.
Yep, even on Wall Street. You'd think in a place like that, where everything is supposed to be hyper-rational and traders are making million-dollar decisions, they'd be immune, right? Well, turns out, not so much. This little psychological quirk has a real, measurable impact.
Believe it or not, researchers who studied stock market data found the very same pattern. They saw this big spike in buy orders for stocks priced just under a round number, like $1.99, compared to stocks priced right at $2. This little imbalance between buying and selling can actually affect short-term returns in the market. It's wild.
And it doesn't even stop at Wall Street. This psychological principle is so powerful that it actually influences how governments set taxes and even how they design public health campaigns.
So for instance, one study found that in Denmark, municipal tax rates are way more likely to end in the digit 9 than any other number. They literally called it odd taxation. And maybe even more important, check this out. Research on getting people to quit smoking found that price hikes on cigarettes are most effective when they cross a dollar barrier. That jump from, say, $4.99 to $5 feels huge in a smoker's mind, way bigger than going from $4.89 to $4.99.
Okay, but it's really important to know this isn't some magic bullet that works for everyone. In fact, for certain brands, ending a price in 0.99 can actually backfire badly.
You see, price endings send a message, a signal. A price like $4.99.99, it just screams deal or sale. And that's perfect if you're, a big box store. But what if you're a luxury brand? What if you're selling a fancy watch or a designer bag? You're not trying to signal bargain, you're trying to signal quality and prestige. For them, a clean round number like $500 just feels more confident, more premium.
And, the world is changing. We use way less cash and more credit cards, so that whole anti-theft idea from back in the day, totally obsolete. Plus, some countries are actually starting to regulate or even ban these 0.99 prices, saying they're just a way to trick consumers. So the future of this little pricing trick, it's not totally clear.
So, there you have it. You're in on the secret now. You're armed with the knowledge of how this really powerful psychological tool works, which means you can finally see it for what it is.
So let's just run through it one last time real simple. You see the price tag, right? Instantly, your brain zeroes in on that first number, the 1, and uses it as an anchor. Then it kind of dismisses the rest as just some change, so it codes the whole thing as being in the $19 zone. And the result? You walk away feeling like you got a better deal. All because of 1 penny and a very clever little push on your brain's shortcuts.
And really, that's the big takeaway. The next time you're out shopping and you see that 0.99 at the end of a price, you'll know exactly what's going on. You'll know it's not just a number, it's a message aimed right at that little shortcut in your brain. So, the real question is, now that you know the trick, do you think you'll be immune to it? Will you ever look at a price tag the same way again?